reconnaissance regiments, so they're built for finding, not so much fighting directly.
Is it the only CBRC that's still in service? Or?
So this is still in service. The scimitars are, but there's literally, this will probably be the last year we have these out. And we'll have the new vehicle out. Yeah, it's more of the guys in the back would normally be sleeping.
They're still using the radar?
They've got the ECM stuff, which blocks pretty much every transmission.
Right. There used to be
Hey? Don't do that, it's not good for you.
Thanks.
Are you trying to get out, are you? Okay, we'll bring this round. Bring it round so we can get out. Are you?
So it is an armoured reconnaissance vehicle essentially. It's a versatile turret with 2 centimetre gun. It is powered by 3.8 litre petrol engine. They are reasonably good cross-country vehicles.
They have anti-tank gun
Largely
on
used
the
for
back of it.
reconnaissance purposes. Behind the 222 is the SDK.
Thanks.
These guys have seen a lot of heavy fighting. There are very few soldiers in this unit who've been there in sort of the glory days of 1940. They have seen a lot of fighting. The wait is about to end. If you look over to the left-hand side of the arena, you can see an American recon unit, which is pushing forward fairly tentatively. They are under pressure to get this thing done, to fix it. The Tankfest commander has given the word that they are opening fire. These American vehicles are very vulnerable. They're mostly soft-skinned. You've got a Chaffee light tank coming through behind. But certainly the Greyhound, the Jeep and the Dodge weapons carrier are going to be quite vulnerable in this situation. The MG-42 will be braking those vehicles. The crew of the Jeep and the Dodge, in fact, have leapt out of their vehicles. They haven't managed to take their weapons with them, so all they can do is retreat. Greyhound has decided to move back, realises he's outgunned at the situation, so he's swinging back. So he's got 2 centimetre rounds pinging off his armour, and he has decided he is outgunned and he needs to move forward. So the Chaffee and the Dodge, and the Greyhound both pulled back. They'll be on the net, they will be telling High Command that there's a substantial enemy force in front, and they're going to need reinforcements. And I think the Chaffee Command was quite wise because, as you can see, the Hetzer has just come forward out of cover. The head profile, you can sit there, hold down, very, very difficult to detect, and very potent. US Recon Commander has radioed back that he needs reinforcements, and the Chaffee is pushing forward again, this time reinforced by a Sherman. The Sherman, the M4A1, is the second most widely produced tank in the war. About 50,000 were built. We've got a number of examples here in the tank museum. It suffered from a bit of a problem. It was not really up to the job when it came to taking on German heavier. So the Chaffee the Sherman are moving forward. They're coming under fire from the Pack 38. Sherman's moving forward. Commander is wondering what to do. They're bringing some fire down on the enemy position. Chaffee is moving around as well. He's about to use his 75mm main armament. This is turning into a bit of a standoff. You've got the Chaffee and the Sherman right up the front end. They are aware they're facing a major German force. They are aware that the Hetzer is now in the picture. It's a potent sort of weapon. Are they going to risk it? Are they going to move forward and manoeuvring? He seems to be coming forward. This is a pretty brave move for somebody with a 2cm main armament. 222 is advancing. Hetzer is firing, so 75mm gun. Panzer Grenadiers have realised that their position is rather exposed. Gunner on that dodge is going to have
Two. This is the Willys Jeep. Phenomenal number made during the war. A very good example of the power of American mass production. That's followed up by what's sometimes called the Beep, or the Big Jeep, or the Beefed Up Jeep. That's the Dodge. This is the Dodge WC-51 weapons carrier. That's followed up by the Morris armoured car. And then, ladies and gentlemen, you're not seeing double. You've got here in the front the Daimler Dingo, and in the rear the Ford Lynx. Next up we have the Daimler armoured car. Then the M8 that we saw in combat a while ago. And this very impressive beast is the Pacific M26 Dragon Wagon. One of my particular favourites, the M16 meat chopper. And bringing up the rear, Sherman M4A1.
American generals in Europe are reporting back with the idea that can we stop doing this, as in it doesn't really work for us. So these M18s, they're you believe, firing 75mm shells out of a bomber. They use that lighter gun, same size as the Sherman's, 75mm, but it's got a different barrel thickness, and they put that with basically a Cadillac design engine in the rear there. It's speedy, it's got good sloped armour, but again it's its mobility that's more of its protection than the idea of actually going around the place taking on the enemy tanks. You don't want to be doing that. Quick bit of fire and out of the way. Your role here is mainly meant to be reconnaissance in the Chaffee. Now this particular Chaffee, newly restored, it's done up in British colours because some of these were given to British.
Pushing them around. Just about every sizable engineering company in America was turned out producing armaments as soon as America knew it was going to enter the war. Those factories didn't have access necessarily to the same engines, so different factories produced different Shermans, different engines. And as they come round, the first one you can see here is the M4A2. The engine you can hear. There we are, we've got twin Detroit diesels in the back there pushing around. You may recognise that one, of course, that's our famous film star Tank Fury. The next one coming out here is the M4A4.
I'm trying to take pictures of Fury.
And he's got a siren, ladies and gentlemen. This was the most commonly used tank by the British, and has the famous or infamous Chrysler multi-pack engine in there. We now have a couple of very important vehicles, what we've not seen in the museum before. The M50 and the M51. I'm going to say nothing about those because my colleague Stuart's going to talk about those in a moment.
Sit down.
So what they start to look for is they start to look to see if they can do what happened with the firefight and upgun it. They realise that the Egyptians and the Arab states are getting better models, they're getting the T-3485, they're getting SU-100, the actual turret, and basically elongated it, made it longer. If you look at the back of these two turret bottles, you'll see why. Really, it's all about fitting that gun inside that turret. What they did with the 185 as well is put a short on the barrel of 1.5 litres. They added a double barrel motor brake on it. They reduced the chamber size and they fitted that in. What they're also doing is they're strengthening the shields and the magnets. Our engine in there, it was the only engine powerful enough they could find to fit the vehicle.
Oh, we're all
Now
standing
the
up here.
second vehicle is the AMX-13. Now the AMX-13 was an air-portable tank designed by the French just after World War II. It ended up being sold to what turned out to be 22 countries.
It's cool, we know someone is, Charlie. It'd be hard to hide.
production. We've got some of the thickest armour, well, it's the best tank in the world at the time, and we're going to give it a whopping break, 120mm.
These are armoured personnel carriers. One's articulated, as you can see at the rear. It's got a front cab and a rear cab. And basically, in comparison, they effectively they can carry up to 12 individuals. 2 or 4 crew members, or 8 or 10 infantry in the back.
This is where the next generation of armoured soldiers are being trained at the moment. And one of the lines that we always come out with, touched on just there, what's the best tank? What's the best vehicle? Actually, it's all about what's the best crew. So that training that goes on is essential. And that's one of the things these lads, you can go and have a word with them later on. They'll talk to you about, these are mainly the instructors that are down here today, what they're teaching that next generation to do on these various vehicles. And here, Chris, what's this one?
That's the Jackal. It's a light reconnaissance vehicle or a light assault vehicle operated by the Royal Army Corps and other people. It was originally an urgent operational requirement for Afghanistan, but we recognised its capability and utility, so we brought it into the core fleet and we use it now for our 3 reconnaissance regiments.
And this is one that's air portable, pretty nifty.
It's strategically mobile, so it can either drive to another country just going down the motorway at 70 miles an hour, or it does this little party trick where it can lower its suspension, drop the roll cage down, and you can put it inside an ISO container for flying.
And we're now, for the first time, most of these vehicles we've seen at Bovington all in their sandy colour, ex-Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. This is now, they're doing them in like Northwest European camouflage schemes.
Yeah, we're getting back into that high-intensity warfare. After decades of fighting in desert terrain, we started to bring back the camouflage, etc.
And what's the cloth on the outside, you know, people looking at? Is it a camo net or what is it that's all surrounding that vehicle?
You see a number of British Army vehicles fit with that. It's called Barracuda. It's a type of thermal imaging camouflage. So inside this material there's a thin layer of metal and an air pocket. It means if you're using thermal imaging, it can hide it and it blends in with the terrain a lot better than just a normal camouflage.
So most of us here, if you've used a pair of binoculars, whatever, when you look at a vehicle, we always think of using our eyes. This vehicle, it's got at the moment what's that, 50 calibre on the top, but you can change what you think your weapon's going to be more needed, or PPMGs and various other bits and pieces.
Yes, it can take 50 calibre GMG, machine guns.
That's still in service.
It's going to be around for a while, specifically the concept. The Royal Army Corps retired from service to CBRT Scimitar this year, being replaced by the Warrior, and there's no set replacement for the Spartan in the role. It's going to be an Ajax variant, but we're still waiting out for that.
And basically this is the armoured personnel carrier version of, on the same engine, the same track, the same transmission as those others in the family. We've got Samaritan, we had originally Spartan, Scimitar, Sultan, Samson, there we go, we're doing spotted stuff here. So aluminium armour, lightweight, and when you look at the front of a vehicle, like on this one, there's quite often a little yellow or a coloured disc with a number in, that's its bridging weight. So what do we got here? 14 tonnes, fairly light vehicle.
Yeah, fairly light vehicle. The 14 tonnes is its all-up weight as well, so if it's got all this kit on there, weighs 14 tonnes. When that is, no idea.
One of the issues we've talked about, I've forgotten if it was earlier, is tarmac.
There's other standard NATO agreements out there as well. You'll notice most NATO tanks, or all NATO tanks, have a way of locking the barrel off. So, for example, putting the gun to the rear and putting a clamp on there, and that's at
At the same time, you guys are training for a risky business.
we can work around stuff. It's less of an issue than it sounds, actually. And to be honest, it's pretty safe.
Right. So what's this one? This is
Vehicle came to service in the 1980s. This vehicle now is going to be replacing the CBRT Scimitar in the reconnaissance role. It fits in really well rollers in CBRT scimitar, you'd have to carry a Spartan behind you with an anti-tank team. With this vehicle, we can have a javelin team in the back, up close with the reconnaissance call signs. Also feeds into fighting for our information. We can't hide anymore, therefore we need to fight for our information. It can take hits and it's incredibly fast across the battlefield.
So Warrior, as you're looking here, originally called an IFV, Infantry Fighting Vehicle. This version, FV510, it was really the armoured personnel carrier. There's a door, they're opening at the back, it's a powered door. It would debus the soldiers that would finish the attack. We'll see that in a moment. But now this Warrior, they've actually been retired. Officially, they'll be going out of service 2025. And they're going to be replaced by a wheeled version called Boxer, but the armed infantry battalions to keep the infantry up with the tanks. And you can see what a mobile and fast vehicle this is. Also kind of like top speed.
You can push it around about 70 km/h, what makes it unique is cross country. And it's so incredibly easy to drive, it's really go about.
I've driven one, very simple, aren't they? And on the top there, 30mm rod cannon, that's what you teach still.
Still incredibly effective.
Their tanks have snorkels.
Yeah, British Club's always been second name.
So the whole idea with Challenger, if you want to make a smoke screen, you can either fire your smoke dischargers or they can put diesel onto the hot exhaust. And that creates that nice smoke screen, so when you go home tonight, you finally get home, at the end of the day, you'll be able to sniff your clothes and you'll think, ah, that was a Challenger bridge layer.
It'll smell like a roll arm, of course.
So there's one of the bridge laying assets, and again, really important, the speed of that, because it needs to be able to keep up with those very fast vehicles, the main battle tanks. And here's Challenger 2, theatre entry standard. In other words, it's got all the bells and whistles on if it went off to fight. When they train here, they look very differently. As you can see the example we've got in front of the vehicle conservation centre.
Yeah, there's no point training with a huge amount of armour down the side. We strip all that off to save wear and tear and fuel. When it goes to war, this is what it will look like.
Now Challenger 2 came into service back in 2000, still in service at the moment. Obviously in some areas it's getting a bit long in the tooth, but the truth of the matter is it's still a very potent bit of kit.
Yeah, it's highly capable still, and still see a small wobbling antenna on the hull. Below that should be called the infantry tank telephone. That's used for dispatch of soldiers. You can open the box, put a small microphone out, and then you speak directly to the commander. It works great when you're in open environment, you can't quite see behind you. They need to call for fire. They just jump on that telephone and tell the commander what to do.
If you go back, the first British tank to have it, we've got the comic when this was being designed, was still that idea of multiple Soviet tanks as a threat, and there was always going to be more there than us.
Yep, it's all about speed of engagement. We'll notice that we know we outrange them. We know we can outshoot them, hence the Russian design doctrine. But yeah, it's all about fire control and the accuracy gun. Oddballs who like to get themselves funny and cover chains.
again, these are big lumps, as you can see, well over 60 tonnes in front of you. Dozer blade on the front, so to help anchor it into the ground. You've got 2 winches on the front there, so you've got an amazing capacity to pull a tank, recover it. Crane on the back to lift a new engine into a Challenger, and I believe they also take trailers behind them, don't you? You can carry a spare engine with you.
Yeah, it's an entire workshop in one vehicle, really. You can recover a vehicle, fix it. The winch on the front has got 100-ton hull capacity, so it shows you how big that winch is. And because it's a Challenger 2 chassis, well, it's a Challenger 1 chassis technically, with a Challenger 2 running gear, it's got that protection that Challenger 2 offers.
And again, the speed, you can see this, keep going on about it, because there's no point just one of the vehicles having speed in a combined arms unit. You've all got to keep up together and recovery there at the same time. And again, we can see that bar armour and the other type of armour. What type do we call that? Rat 2?
That's Rat 2 towards the range of armour.
If you notice the yellow flags, ATDU, that's based here at Bovington. What's ATDU?
That's the Armoured Charge Development Unit, so any newer armoured vehicles that comes into British Army Service.
Any modern army, you can have the best kit in
engineering reconnaissance role, in which soldiers are specifically trained in assessing obstacles and how to breach them. Once the engineers have made their assessment of the obstacles, in this case, a notional river crossing, they will transmit this information back to the battlegroup commander using secure order card number 4.
This is Echo 1-1 Charlie. I've set a possible location for crossing site at Glen Sierra Uniform 311527. Over. 0, Roger, out. Hello, station 0. I went through my short 4, serial 04, 1.
Touching on what I said earlier, the Titan is based on the modified Challenger 2 chassis, therefore any armour upgrade that Challenger 2 gets, this vehicle will get. So being a target priority, it's really good about that level of protection when doing obstacle crossings. The Royal Engineers operate other armoured vehicles as means. It works in conjunction with the Trojan and the Terrier. Trojan being a minefield breaching platform, and Terrier being an armoured engineering vehicle. From here, the engineering call sign on the ground will declare the crossing point open and begin to marshal across the friendly forces, starting with the reconnaissance call signs.
Hello, Echo 1-1 call. Bridge crossing is now open. Over.
Now that the gap has been crossed, we're going to move on to the next phase of the operation. The vehicle we're seeing now is the Jackal. This reconnaissance platform will race ahead of the rest of the battle group to create something called the reconnaissance gap. This means a gap of approximately 5 kilometres between the reconnaissance vehicles and the lead elements of the battle group. This gap creates breathing space, allowing the battle group commander to formulate a plan if the enemy is sighted. Jackal uses superior speed and stealth to get in the position of overlord and potentially a weak position. If an enemy is spotted, the sighting report will be sent to the battle group commander.
Sierra Uniform, a 370, a 575. A 1-time C-72 static on the track and observing. Over. 0, Roger out.
From here, the battle group commander will take the information from the reconnaissance call signs and formulate a plan. In this example, a deliberate attack. This plan will be to be disseminated across the battle group so all platforms understand their mission and their part to play. When H hour arrives, the battle group commander orders the attack.
Hello, Tango 160 Alpha, H hour in 3, 2, 1, go, go, go.
The first vehicle into the attack is the assaulting tanks. Their job is pure shock action. They drive towards the enemy position, causing as much damage and destruction as possible, concentrating their fire on enemy armoured vehicles and defensive positions. Once they have accomplished their mission, they push off the flanks and provide fire support. It's the time for the armoured infantry. Mounted in their warrior infantry fighting vehicles, the armoured infantry, guided onto the position by an intimate support tank, clears the objective of any remaining forces. Reconnaissance vehicles dug in enemy positions. The warrior now carries out its primary role, delivering the right on top of. The infantry corps signs dismount and carry out a section attack with the warrior acting as fire support. Section commander takes charge of the firefight and always leaving one foot on the ground, moves towards the enemy. Section commander pushes the rest of his force lines and clears the position. Once the position is clear, the force line can either push on to an in-depth position or can withdraw back to the infantry fighting vehicle. From here, the battle will reset. The tanks will pick up a bridge, will quick refuel, rearm, stop, and get themselves into a position to launch another battle attack. Ladies and gentlemen, this now concludes the British Army display. We will now carry out a number of laps of the arena for photographic opportunities. If you're interested in any of the vehicles or roles you've seen today, please search Army Jobs for more information. You can also go to the car park where the Royal Army Corps recruiting team is. Also, there's a number of charities there if you would feel like doing